Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakor Kodash, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakor Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect. So I ran across this article, why Iran's most dangerous weapon in this war isn't a missile. It's the wine. Alright, because these nations are going to continue, alright, to attack the petrodollar. Alright, that's the stronghold that America has on these nations as far as international trade, especially when it comes to the oil. Alright, use that petrodollar. Alright, but now they're trying to trade in other currencies. Alright, that's why the BRICS nations was formed. These nations came together to stop using the American currency in international trade. Alright, and now that this war is heating up, alright, the attack on the petrodollar is going to intensify. All right, but it says a senior Iranian official has told CNN that Tehran is considering allowing a limited number of oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz, but only if cargo is traded in Chinese yuan, not U.S. dollars. The condition, if formalized, will represent the most significant challenge to the petrodollar system in its 52-year history, striking at the financial architecture that underpins American global power rather than at U.S. military assets. Excuse me. It says 14 days into the war that began with the U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran on the 28th of February, the strategic picture has shifted in ways that no oil price chart yet reflects. While markets have forced on Brent crude surge above $100 a barrel and the humanitarian catastrophe unfolding across the Persian Gulf region, a single sentence attributed to a senior Iranian official on Friday may prove more consequential than any of the preceding military exchanges. All right. So they're attacking the petrodollar, man. All right. And this is one of the reasons that, this economy is going to crumble, man. All right. You're going to have hyperinflation, man. I don't be surprised if gas go over $7 a gallon, man. I remember in the summer of 2022, I believe gas was like at $5 a gallon, and everybody was tripping, but that's going to be on the low end compared to, how this hyperinflation is going to affect this economy as far as the oil prices, man. All right. Them attacking the petrodollar is a major thing, man. All right. It says Iran is considering allowing a limited number of oil tankers to pass through the Strait of Hormuz on the condition that the cargo is traded in Chinese yuan, a senior Iranian official told CNN. It says the official described the potential move as a part of Tehran's plan to manage the controlled reopening of the strategic waterway, which has been effectively closed since March 1st following U.S. and Israeli attacks on Iran. All right. So that's how they're going to continue to do business, just not in the U.S. dollar money. All right. The financial implications deserve more attention than they have so far received. All right. It says the architecture of American financial power. To understand why the yuan condition matters, it is necessary to understand what the petrodollar system actually is. Born from the Nixon shock of 1971 and formalized in 74, the arrangement under which Saudi Arabia and the border Gulf agreed to denominate all oil sales in U.S. dollars created a self-reinforcing loop that has governed global finance ever since. That's the stronghold that they have on the nations, that petrodollar, man. Right? It says because oil, the world's most traded commodity, must be purchased in dollars, every nation that imports energy must first acquire U.S. dollars. Every central bank holds dollar reserves for precisely this reason. The dollar status as the world's primary reserve currency is not an abstract achievement. It flows directly and mechanically from oil. All right, so if they stop using the dollar, all right, that's gonna hurt this place, man. Which Yahweh Bar Shimmy Awashad is going to do that, man. All right, even when you look at ancient Egypt, all right, the judgment of ancient Egypt, the Most High attacked what? Their economy, crops and shit. All right, this stronghold that the United States has on these nations, as far as the petrodollar, all right, they loosening their grip, all right, or losing their grip, man. And this is all the doing of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, man. It says global oil is predominantly traded in U.S. dollars, except for sanctioned Russian oil, which is priced in rubles or yuan, which Russia and China are part of the BRICS nations. Iran's proposal would extend that exception to the world's single most critical maritime choke point. All right. It says the Strait as a financial weapon. The Strait of Hormuz, a major maritime choke point for global energy trade, has experienced ongoing geopolitical and economic disruption since the 28th of February, following joint military strikes by the United States and Israel on Iran, which included the killing of Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Starting on March 4th, 2026, Iranian forces declared the Strait closed, threatening and carrying out attacks on ships attempting to transit. The disruption is not marginal. The conflict disrupted approximately 20% of global oil supplies transiting the Strait of Hormuz, causing prices on the Brent crude oil market to rise from around $70 to $110 per barrel within 10 days. Or pardon me, within days. All right, so this is going to once again affect the world. All right, as they say, oil is the most traded commodity on the world, and they sitting on that oil over there in Iran. This was the point of the whole play, going over there to Venezuela and doing what they did to Maduro to get control of that oil, man. All right, and Esau is greedy, man. You know, as the scriptures say, he's a proud man that can't stay at home. All right, he's never satisfied. He wants to bleed everything dry. Right? These nations, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is putting the spirit on these nations to fight back, man. All right, it says at least 16 oil tankers, cargo ships, and other vessels have been attacked in and around the Strait of Hormuz, the Arabian Gulf, and the Gulf of Oman since the war began 2 weeks ago, according to the UK's maritime agency. CNN war risk insurance through the Strait has become effectively prohibitive for most commercial operators. The United States has responded to the blockade with escalating military pressure. Trump said the U.S. bombed every military target on Iran's uh, Kursk Island and threatened to attack the island's oil infrastructure if Iran continues to block ships from traversing the strait. Iran's response was not another missile strike. It was the wine condition. All right, we gonna fight you. We just gonna stop using your money, which is more of a death blow. All right. Now this place will ultimately be destroyed by nuclear fire. All right. But as they play these war games currently, all right, this is a big blow if they stop trading in the American currency, man. All right. It says what makes the Iranian proposal structurally significant is not simply that it changes the dollar or that it challenges the dollar. De-dollarization rhetoric has circulated for years without materializing into meaningful change, specifically Russia. When you talk about the de-dollarization, all right, Russia and China have been talking that shit for years, man. There's many articles that came out where, you know, Putin, all right, Xi Jinping as well, but really Vladimir Putin shitting on the dollar. We don't want to use the dollar. The West got too much control. The West this, the West that. All right. So this has been in play or been in the works. But now, it's materializing. All right. Because, Esau over there doing his war shit, man. All right. What was that? It says, circulated for years. Tehran is not merely proposing that some bilateral trade occur in Wuhan. It is proposing that access to the world's most critical energy choke point be conditional on currency denomination. The practical consequence, if even partially adopted, would be a bifurcated global oil market. Yuan denominated barrels flowing through Hormuz for those willing to pay in China's currency. Dollar denominated barrels rerouted at significant additional cost and time for those who are not. The war premium that Western energy importers are already absorbing would become structural rather than temporary. All right, so basically, China will become the new superpower if everybody's trading their currency, man. Especially for oil, because once again, that's a big commodity traded, man. This is not hypothetical infrastructure. Since the 28th of February, between 11.7 and 16.5 million barrels of Iranian crude have transited the Strait to China via shadow fleet under IRGC protection, while every other nation's shipping is locked out. China pays in yuan. China's tankers move freely. The architecture for a parallel yuan denominated energy corridor already exists and it's already operating. All right, but when it comes to China and Russia, Trump is a little bit more slow to pop all that shit. All right, because these are superpowers, man. Militarily they got weapons and shit too, nukes, all that. All right, so the whole world locked out right now except China, and you don't really see Trump in the you don't see Nero, pardon me, in the media pressing them. But eventually it's gonna come to a head. You know, it says on March 5th, the IRGC announced that Iran would keep the Strait of Hormuz closed only to ships from the U.S., Israel, and their Western allies. On March 13th, Turkey's transport minister said that Iran approved the passage of a Turkish ship through the strait. It was also reported that two Indian flag gas carriers and a Saudi oil tanker with 1 million barrels for India were allowed to pass. Selective passage is already the reality. The Yuan condition would formalize the criteria. All right, selective passage is already a reality, meaning everybody could fuck with us on this oil. Speaking from the perspective of Iran, everybody can fuck with us on this oil except the West. All right, that's how they retaliate into them strikes, man. All right, the United States faces a set of choices, none of them comfortable, forcing the strait open militarily. The option Trump has repeatedly signaled would require sustained naval operations against an adversary with mines, shore-based missiles, submarines, and drones swarm in confined waters. The Congressional Research Service, in a report delivered to Congress on the 11th of March, noted that while there had been consensus among analysts that the U.S. has the capacity to counter Iran's forces and restore the flow of shipping, such an effort will likely take some time, days, weeks, or perhaps months, depending on what forms an Iranian attempt to close the Gulf to shipping might take. Every week of delay is a week in which energy importing nations confront the practical reality of the yuan alternative. India, which received Iranian assurances of safe passage directly from Tehran's ambassador, is already navigating the calculus. So are Turkey and the Gulf states, now diverting oil through the east-west pipelines to Yanbu and Fujairah, pipelines that cannot absorb the full volume that previously transited Hormuz. The capacity of these pipelines is unable to match the amount of oil shipped through the strait, with a deficit of about 12 million barrels per day. Uh, the arithmetic, or yeah, arithmetic, pardon me, the arithmetic of energy desperation is working in Iran's favor. It says the longer game. It would be analytically premature to conclude that the petrodollar system is imminently at risk of collapse. The dollar remains the world's primary reserve currency, underpinned by the depth and liquidity of U.S. capital markets decades of institutional trust, and the absence of any credible single alternative. China has sought for years to expand the use of the yuan in oil transactions, but the dollar remains the world's primary reserve currency. And that's going to change because they hate this place. All right. So they're going to do anything to jab at it, man. All right. Or destroy it. Right. What the Hormuz crisis does represent, however, is the most operationally specific change to the dollar energy dominance since the system was established. Previously, de-dollarization discussions were theoretical. This one comes with a choke point, a shadow fleet, an operational payment system, and a geopolitical crisis that has already lasted 2 weeks with no clear resolution in sight. The bombs are visible, the financial architecture being renegotiated behind them is not. All right. It says, what is the petrodollar system and why does the yuan condition threaten it? The petrodollar system refers to the post. Y'all read that already. Uh, could the yuan realistically replace the dollar in global oil trade? It says not quickly and not fully. China's CIPS payment system has expanded significantly, and yuan-dominated oil trades already occur with Russia and Iranian crude. However, the dollar's reserve currency status is reinforced by the capital market depth, liquidity, and institutional inertia that no single crisis is likely to dissolve. The more likely near-term outcome is a fragmented market with parallel pricing systems rather than a clean currency transition. All right, but as I stated before, all right, these nations are going to do anything to get further away from the grip of the West, man. Which the petrodollar is a big part of that, man. All right, the whole world disagrees with this man Nero and everything he's doing. All right, so people, nations, all right, are going to continue to get further and further away from him to stop using this, his currency. And as I said before, the BRICS nations, they've been talking this shit, man. Especially Russia, China as well. All right, of course, China is trying to get everybody to use. Good morning, everybody to use the yuan. All right, and Russia been talking about this. He's tired of the West. As I speak on Vladimir Putin, he's tired of the West. The West and they bullshit. The West and they violence. The West and they got us in a chokehold with the money. So eventually, these nations are going to follow behind those other two superpowers, man. All right, this ain't motherfucking 1920, man. These nations ain't scared of this place. So if China and Russia make a play and say, you know what, this is what we doing, we trading in the wine, and everybody that's, if the West got a problem with it, if the West got a problem with any of you nations doing that, they can get behind, y'all can get behind us and we'll handle it. That's what is going to happen. All right, this place is finished, man. All right, but I ain't going to hold you. I hope that video was edifying. Shalom.